So here we are again. To solve an oblique triangle, you need to be given some information. If you're given information that falls in the red section, you're going to use law of sines to solve that triangle. And if you're given information that's in the blue section, you're going to use law of cosines. Law of sines is what we're going to discuss in these videos. The law of sines takes a triangle. Angles are labeled with their angles in capital letters, and their side lengths are across from those angles in lowercase letters. So side A is across from angle A, side B is across from angle B, and side C is across from angle C. Another interesting fact is the largest angle, this is important, you might have learned it in geometry, the largest angle is across from the largest side and vice versa. The smallest angle is across from the smallest side. Smallest side across from the smallest angle, largest side across from the largest angle. So when we're using law of sines, that idea is extremely important in checking to make sure our answer makes sense. But the law of sines simply says you've got the side length A over the sine of angle A is equal to the side length B over the sine of angle B, which is equal to side length C over the sine of angle C. And as true in any proportion, you can flip your fractions. If you start with the sine in the numerator over the side length, then you have to do that throughout the entire proportion. So let's get started on an example. So we're going to solve the triangle. We're given angle A is equal to 28.7 degrees. Angle B is equal to 102.3 degrees. And side length A is equal to 27.4 feet. First step is we're going to determine what we're given. Are we given 2 sides and an angle, 3 sides, 2 angles and a side? In this case, we are given 2 angles and a side. We are given 2 angles and a side. So I'm going to try and draw a picture of this, and the more accurate I can be, the more it is I'm going to be able to reason whether or not my answer makes sense. I'm going to have a 28.7 degree angle. So I'm going to draw that here on the left. So that's about 28.7 degrees. So this is about 28.7 degrees, and I'm going to call that angle A. Then I've got angle B, which is, I'm going to call angle B up here. I need to make 102 degrees. Now, this would be about 90. So 100 is a little bit more than that. So I'm going to draw that there. Sorry. And angle B is 102.3 degrees. And then side A, which is across from angle A, is 27.4 feet. So we'll name my angles in black, and I'm going to name my side length and feet. I'm going to mark like that. I'm going to name my side length in red. So the missing angle is C. I'm missing side length C, all right? And I'm missing side length B. So what are we given? Are we given 2 angles and the side outside? Or are we given 2 angles and the side between the 2 angles? Well, we're given 2 angles and the side outside the angles. So I'm going to come back over here, 2 sides and the angle outside. That's this one right here. I can see 2 angles and the side outside. That's number 1. 2 angles and the side outside. So that tells me I need to use law of sines. So we're using law of sines. So once you learn law of cosines, it's going to be really important. When do you use which? So in these problems, we're just practicing with law of sines. Every triangle you get is going to be law of sines. but don't let that distract you from knowing that you have to understand when you use law of sines and when you don't. So when we learn law of cosines, that's when they'll start getting mixed together. But this, once you're getting comfortable with it, you can be sure that you're going to be using law of sines, but you definitely want to know and study perhaps that these first three are law of sines, and the second set of circumstances would be law of cosines. So law of sines, I might say law of sines, and law of cosines, I might say law of cosines, just so I can start shortcutting it. So we're going to be using law of sines. I'm going to write that formula down. Side A over sine of angle A equals side B over sine of angle B equals side C over sine of angle C. And here now it's just arithmetic. It's the arithmetic that you've been doing with a little bit of using your sine cosine button in your calculator. In this case, using your sine button in your calculator. It's going to be a piece of cake. So step 3 says if you're given two angles, use the triangle sum theorem. The triangle sum theorem says that all three angles in a triangle will add to 180 degrees. So that's what I'm going to do to find angle C. Angle B, A plus angle B plus angle C is equal to 180 degrees. Angle A is 28.7 degrees. Angle B is 102.3 degrees. Plus angle C equals 180. Therefore, angle C is going to equal, and I encourage you to take out your calculator. So now I envision you going to your calculator, getting your calculator out. Maybe you haven't pressed pause. Definitely press pause. Come back, press pause, so that you can actually do this math. So you're pressing pause, go get your calculator, come back. Now you're back and you've already put it in. If you went, okay, I'm pressing play because I'm so anxious to hear this video, and you have not put this in your calculator, press pause again. Press pause and figure out what angle C is, because this is simple math. So the simple math says C is equal to 49.0 degrees. This is significant. This is significant, this 0. So please do not forget it. C is equal to 49.0 degrees. I'm going to hold on to that and come back to it. Now we're going to substitute values into appropriate formulas and solve for the unknown information. So side length A was given. Side length A is 27.4 feet. And I'm dividing that by the sine of angle A, which is 28.7 degrees. So side A over the sine of A is equal to side B over the sine of angle B, which is equal to side C over the sine of angle C, which we determined was 49.0 degrees, and it ended. The decimal ended, so it's not like I'm putting a rounded value in there. It's very beautiful. Now we cross multiply. So this, now we're back to what used to be maybe middle school math. I don't know if they teach you that in middle school, but I know for sure that in geometry, this is taught how to cross multiply and divide. So now you're just cross multiplying 27.4 times the sine of 102.3 degrees is equal to the sine of 28.7 times B. So you just cross multiply. I say cross multiply and divide because that's eventually what you'll be doing. So for those of you who are not in tune with how to do this very quickly in your calculators, hopefully you will with practice. But in pre-calculus, you should be. Those are the things that might hang you up a little bit. I'm going to show you this one time what I'm talking about. Cross multiply and divide. That's what side B is going to equal. 27.4 times the sine of 102.3 degrees divided by the sine of 28.7 degrees. You're in degree mode in your calculator. Degree mode in your calculator so that you can get B equals 55.7, or is approximately 55.7. We're only going to round to the nearest tenth here. And the reason we're rounding to the nearest tenth is because that's what they gave us in the problem. So in the problem, they gave us side lengths to the nearest tenth. So that's what's significant. We're going to go with significance here, the nearest tenth for the side length. So 55.7 feet. Now you're going to do the same thing to find C. However, I'm not going to use my rounded value for B. So I'm going to go back to my given ratio. That was given, so I'm not using any rounded values. I'm going to use that ratio with the ratio that has a variable in it, and I'm going to cross multiply and divide again. So you're going to see my work up here for C. C is going to equal 27.4 times the sine of 49.0 degrees divided by the sine of 28.7 degrees. And that is approximately, I get approximately 43.1 feet. So let's talk about the answer. They gave us angle A, that was given. They gave us angle B, that was given. And they gave us side A, 27.4 feet, that was given. We needed to find, I'm going to use orange here. Let's use pink. We needed to find side B, side C, and angle C. Angle C was what we did first. We found 49.0 degrees. Side B is what we found second, 55.7 feet. And side C, 43.1 feet. And those three values are the answers that we're looking for. These three values solve the triangle. And that's law of sines. That is law of sines. So here's another example that we're going to use. We're going to solve the triangle that's here. I'm going to do that in the next video. If you want to give this a try, sometimes it only takes one problem. Usually this ends up being a try. So we'll do this problem as we'll call it an example and a try. That's what we'll do. We'll call it an example / try. For those of you that don't want a try, I would suggest going back and rewatching the video, this video right here, and maybe try and get this down and then come back to this and say, okay, now I'm ready for this to be a try. Because this, we should be able to here try on our own. But that's the beauty of the video, is you can rewatch it until you're ready to do this one on your own.